Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope your Saturday is going great and that the weekend is so good to you so far and you're feeling nice and relaxed. I am so excited for today's video because I'm going to be refashioning this men's shirt that I thrifted for $3, and it's in this pretty pink color which I thought would make a gorgeous top, and I decided I'd refashion it into a shirred top. So I've been seeing shirred tops all over. They're very popular during summer. You can make them with straps, you can make them strapless, and they're really easy to do. It just takes a bit of time. So I decided to make this cute strapless one with a ruffle detail at the top and the bottom, and I think it looks so fab. You can pair this with jeans, you can pair this with a skirt, and it's still gonna look pretty damn good. So if you want to make your own shirred top, let's get right into this. First things first, I measured the length I wanted for my top. So mine came to about 23 centimeters. If you want to do it a bit longer, definitely feel free to do so. If you want it shorter, feel free to do so as well. And as you can see, with my shirt laid out flat, there's that curve at the bottom. I did not want to go around it because it would make the project 100 times harder. So I decided to get rid of it, and I just drew a straight line across and cut the excess bit of fabric off using a pair of scissors. Once that bit of fabric was off, we have a nice straight line to work with now. And from the bottom of my shirt, I just measured 23 centimeters, made sure to mark out the points with a piece of chalk. That way I could draw a straight line that was even and very straight, and I would be able to cut out the length of my top. So once the points are all marked out, I just used a ruler to draw a straight line straight across. And after that was done, I decided I was risking it a bit and I wanted to make this top longer. So I added 2 centimeters, and in total my shirt now became 25 centimeters. Once I was satisfied with the length of my top, I just cut off that bit of fabric and I was good to go. You can keep the top part of the shirt and make something out of it. I will try think of a project to do, but for now we are working on the bottom of the shirt, and as you can see, we have a nice and even length of fabric to work with. I'm just opening this up so that I can be able to hem the top and the bottom of this. As you can see, it's already starting to fray. So all I did to prevent that is I did a double hem, and I just did that all the way across the top and the bottom. So just double roll your fabric and then sew straight across to keep it nice and shut. So all I'm doing now is I'm folding in my fabric twice and doing a straight stitch down. This way my fabric is nice and hemmed and nothing will fray, and it will look nice and professional. So just repeat the process and keep folding over your fabric twice. Stitch straight across and you're good to go. If you're using stretchy fabric, make sure you use a zigzag stitch, but in this case my fabric is not stretchy, so a straight stitch sufficed. So now I'm marking 1 centimeter from the top. This is going to be the bit of ruffle at the top, and then I marked 3 centimeters from the bottom, and this is going to be the ruffle at the bottom. And as a result, I had 19 centimeters of shirring, and you can definitely make this bigger if you want, or less if you want. And now moving on to the sewing machine, I set my tension to 7, and then I increased my stitch length to 5. I also didn't show it here, but I switched to stitch number 01 because it was just easier to sew with. And now to sew, you're just going to take a bit of elastic thread. And one trick to shirring, and something that people get wrong, is winding your bobbin using the machine. I feel like if you wind your bobbin using your hand, you have better control and you're able to control exactly where your thread goes. And since this is elastic thread, you may be tempted to make it too tight or too loose, but my advice to you would be to wind it just as you would regular thread and you'll be good to go. So wind to your heart's content and make sure you're spreading the winding evenly. Make sure the bottom and the top are all even and your thread is not looking funny. And once you have enough elastic on your bobbin, this is what mine looked like at this point. Just cut off the excess bit of fabric and put it in your bobbin case just like you would normal thread. Cut off the excess, put on your bobbin cover, and you're good. So this is what happens when your tension is too loose or you don't wind your elastic thread correctly. You're just going to end up with a wavy situation and you want to have straight lines. So I'm going to show you how to achieve that. That way you have a beautifully shirred top. So moving on to the machine, I use my presser foot as my guide as to how far apart my shirred lines will be placed. So if you want to have them wider, it's totally up to you, but using the presser foot enables you to just sew in a straight line without having to worry about anything looking bad and crooked once you're done. So all I'm doing with the elastic thread at the bottom and my regular thread at the top, you're going to sew this with the right side facing up such that the good thread goes on the top part and the elastic thread goes on the bottom. Make sure to tie a knot between your thread and your elastic. You don't want your elastic sliding down and leaving you with no shirred lines, so make sure you knot it. Do not forget to do this because I did forget and some of my elastic started to slip. And as you can see, you're going to have nice straight lines, and that is what it will look like on the outside. So now to give you a bit of a closer look so that you understand what's going on, as you can see, I'm using my presser foot as a guide, and to start off slow. That way the elastic has a grasp on your fabric, and then you can put it on your regular speed. I used very high speed on this one because I wanted to be done as soon as possible, and just sew as normal. Guide the fabric with your hand, but don't put any tension in it. You don't want to pull it. You just want to gently glide your fabric through your sewing machine, and the shirring will occur naturally. So what happens is the thread at the top picks up the elastic thread at the bottom, and since this is elastic, it's going to gather your fabric, and that's what gives you that beautiful shirred effect. So you are going to take a bit of time and do a couple of lines. I did maybe 15 lines, and this will take a bit of time. It's not difficult to do, as I said, it's just a bit time consuming because of all the lines of shirring you need to do. And all I'm doing now is I'm knotting both ends just to make sure, as I said, my elastic doesn't come undone and I am left with zero work after putting in all the effort. So at this point, this is what my lines looked like from the outside, and this is what your lines look like on the inside. Make sure you're getting perfectly straight lines, because if you're not, that's an indicator that something is wrong and you need to either adjust your tension or your elastic thread is too tight or too loose. You just need to check something because they need to be super straight for you to know that you're doing this right. So back to shirring, I really wanted you guys to see me do it because I do understand how difficult it can be to get this shirring correctly, and I felt one thing that really helped me to shirr my fabric properly is making sure when I put in the bobbin, I did it just as I would with regular thread, because sometimes when you snip off that excess bit of thread at the bottom, the elastic winds back into the bobbin case and you're left with no elastic to grasp onto your fabric, and when it's picked up by your machine, it's just a hot mess. So just make sure everything is going nice and okay in the bobbin case, and then just continue shirring and you will see some progress after a few lines are done. So as you can see, I am starting off very slow and then picking up the pace and just following the previous line as my guide, and my presser foot edge, as you can see, is on the other line such that it's sewing another straight line, which is what gives you those beautifully spaced shirred lines at the end of the day, and nothing is going to look wonky and crooked, and you're going to end up with a project you really love. I was taking my time knotting this. I do advise that you leave a lot of thread hanging, that way you're able to easily tie your knot. At some bit I was really struggling because I left almost no thread to tie a knot with. But now this is just a different angle for you guys, just to show you exactly what's going on. And as you can see, my presser foot is guiding my next line and I'm slowly gliding the fabric through. I am not pulling, I am not tugging, I am not putting any tension on the fabric. You don't need to do anything. The elastic thread will do the shirring for you and gather the elastic. So don't feel the need to pull on your fabric because that might make things go wrong. So after you're done, and you're going to repeat this a lot of times, I did about 15 lines, I think, like I mentioned, or maybe more. It's all a matter of how far apart you want your lines to be and how many lines you want. It's your project, so you do you. Once everything is nice and shirred, that is what the lines look like on the inside, and as you can see, all of them are straight and you have this smocked effect on the outside. And now all we're going to do is sew our bit of fabric shut. That way we can get rid of the bottom placket, which would honestly be uncomfortable to have in your final project. So all I did is I pinned off that excess bit of fabric where my sewing was starting and ending. I just put pin straight down and sewed a straight stitch straight down it, just to make sure my top was nice and shut. After that was done, I cut off the excess bit of fabric and you're basically done with your top. This last step is just to ensure that it gathers nicely and is quite snug on your body. So all I'm doing is I'm taking a spray bottle full of water and just spritzing that onto my top, and then I'm just going to iron it. As I lift my iron up and down, I'm just making sure to press the elastic. Because of the action of the water and the heat, the elastic is going to shrink, and that is what will make it fit you like a glove. Once that's all done, you are done with your shirred top, and look at how beautiful this is. I love how this turned out, and I promise you it's a bit intimidating to think, oh, I can't shirr, it's not gonna turn out as great, but I do encourage you to try it because it is so easy to do. You just need to get your elastic thread right, and I promise you'll be good to go. Anyway guys, that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you'll be trying this DIY. Please let me know if you will be. I do love hearing from you guys, and I would love to see your recreations as well. So in case you do try it, please send me a picture on my Instagram. It is linked in the description bar down below. But for now, allow me to say goodbye. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hopefully will catch you in the next very exciting DIY one. Until then, bye guys.